5 secret tests women use when they start to lose interest. A woman doesn't give up on her interest immediately. Instead, she conducts some subtle tests first. Your reactions will determine whether the attraction will return or gradually fade. If you sense a change in her energy and can't explain why, this video will resonate deeply with you. Follow me. Welcome to the channel. In this video, I'll be going through 5 subtle tests women go through when they feel less attractive. I'll explain in detail why arguing or giving lengthy explanations always backfires, and how men suddenly fail these tests without even realizing they're being subjected to them. Finally, you'll notice the difference before you stop guessing and end the relationship. Let's get started. Test number 1, the availability test. When a woman starts to lose interest, her availability changes. She becomes slower to respond, her time decreases, and her plans seem uncertain. However, she still expects to contact you. She wants you to be available whenever she needs you, but she doesn't reciprocate that same level of availability. This isn't always intentional. It often happens unconsciously as her sense of security diminishes. This is a test of your availability, not your schedule, but your standards. Most men fail this test because they are perfectly available but put in less effort than she does. Respond immediately. They keep their schedules open. They prioritize her even if she doesn't prioritize them in return. They believe that consistency will bring her back. But let me tell you, consistency without acceptance doesn't build attraction. In fact, it weakens attraction when a man shows that his behavior towards her won't change no matter how he treats her, or not. Passing this test is about self-respect. Frankly, a balanced man doesn't punish her with silence or feign busyness. He doesn't over-justify the relationship. He adapts to reality. If communication falters, he doesn't continue what he started. If plans clash, he doesn't structure his life around the uncertainty. If the effort diminishes, she notices and adapts. This adaptation is silent, unspoken, yet palpable. This creates a sense of polarization. When a woman feels unattainable but doesn't angrily reject you, something shifts. She feels the weight of her different life. When she realizes you've chosen her and she won't change her mind, attraction has a chance to rekindle. Men who pass this test often say things like, "I've always been there for her, and she's always wanted to be with me." Yes, because constant presence eliminates all the tension and guesswork. Desire requires consistency, and desire requires results. The presence test isn't about being accessible, it's about being actually there. You are present when invited. You participate when the effort is mutual. You don't overinvest when ambiguity prevails. This balance fosters trust without conflict. This test occurs when a woman decides whether to choose the man she desires or the man she can approach without choosing. How you handle your presence at this stage determines the role you will play. The second test is the substitution test. When a woman starts to lose interest, she might bring up another man in conversation. It might seem spontaneous, harmless, or even deliberate. She might mention a male colleague, an old friend, or an ex-boyfriend, right? Someone who helped her, even in a small way. It doesn't sound dramatic. That's the point. It's a replacement test. You're not trying to make her jealous in any obvious way, not with words or anything else. In fact, she's simply observing how confident you are. Listen, you'll fail this test the moment you react emotionally. Don't ask questions you don't want answered, and don't change your tone of voice. Don't try to subtly boast about your worth. Even polite responses convey the same message. They show interest. When a woman thinks your self-esteem is based on being exceptional rather than on genuine confidence, attraction fades. So, this doesn't mean you should pretend you don't have to pass this test, but it does mean you shouldn't let comparisons affect you. A balanced man doesn't compete with ghosts, doesn't doubt, doesn't angrily dismiss the experience, and doesn't change his stance. He remains steadfast. This consistency is important. As you can see, self-confidence isn't difficult. Needless to say, you can feel its strength when doubt creeps in. This is the key difference. If she's genuinely unavailable, the temptation to replace her will become a substitute behavior. But if she lacks confidence, the temptation remains just that, a temptation. She's watching you as you succumb to insecurity or hold your ground. The moment you try to prove yourself, the situation changes completely. You go from being selective to being critical. Once a man starts evaluating, the attraction is gone. That's why some women say, "I don't know why, but I've stopped feeling it." When your self-confidence is low, you feel the difference. Passing this test seems easy from the outside. You accept what you say without feeling anxious. A calm response carries power. I feel comfortable in my own skin, whether there's a rival or not. Surprisingly, this often creates attraction. The temptation to replace someone doesn't stem from jealousy or selfishness. A woman is drawn to a man who isn't her only option for feeling secure. She stays because she feels she has a choice, not because she feels threatened. Listen, if any of these experiences resonated with you, please hit the like button. This shows you're interested in more content that prepares you for real relationships. And if you're interested in knowing what women think, please subscribe to the channel. I explore topics like this weekly. The third test is the withdrawal test. When a woman starts to pull away, most men sense it before they can articulate it. The pace of writing slows. The initial excitement fades slightly. It's still there, but it hasn't peaked yet. Nothing particularly noticeable has happened. However, the energy feels a little different. This shift alone is enough to make any man feel uneasy. And I understand that too. But this is where the attraction test begins. As you can see, the attraction test revolves around emotional stability. On a subconscious level, you ask a very simple question. If you leave him alone for a while, will he remain calm or will he lose focus? When a man responds to attraction, he subconsciously sends the message that her attention is what makes him emotionally stable. Then the attraction fades. You see, it's not about losing interest, it's about your sense of self. You become dependent on it. Attraction doesn't disappear when a man desires intimacy. It disappears when intimacy becomes a source of pressure. So if you want to pass this test, don't ignore it or play games with it. This doesn't mean being cold or withdrawn. What you need to do is not overreact to the suspicions. You'll notice the change, but you won't be able to recognize it. Maintain your routine. When she approaches you, respond naturally. Don't ask questions or demand clarification before she begins to fall silent. A calm response has a powerful effect. I say this. It shows that you appreciate her presence, but that you're uncomfortable with the situation. Women are very sensitive to psychological pressure, even subtle pressures. And you see, when she's the one managing your stress, her attraction to you fades, and she might not even understand why. Only she can feel it. That's why men often say, the more I try, the worse it gets. Because unsuccessful attempts put them under pressure, not just discomfort. This test of attraction, lies somewhere in between. She hasn't completely left, but she's not completely safe for you either. Your reaction will determine how things unfold. If you chase after her, explain things, or ask for reassurance, you'll only make her more determined. But if you give her space without taking a stand or holding a grudge, she'll often feel safe enough to approach you again. Interestingly, a less emotional approach might even rekindle that attraction. So don't be afraid to give it a try. Test 4. The emotional energy test. When a woman begins to lose interest, the first thing that gradually changes is the way she expresses her feelings. She talks about her fears more, confides more, and expresses her frustrations, complaints, and anxieties more. I know that. But remember this, she isn't always looking for solutions, guidance, or change. It tests your emotional resilience, your willingness to shoulder emotional responsibilities without limits. Isn't that right? That's what I call the emotional strength test. Most men completely fail this test because they believe that being constantly with her makes them better partners. So they listen longer, they listen more attentively, and they try to cheer her up. And that's where the real difficulty lies. It might seem fun, even intimate at first, but over time it creates a problem. When a man overexerts himself emotionally, he stops feeling like a partner and starts to feel like just an emotional vessel. The attraction fades because he's simply holding on to more than he's worth. This is where men begin to falter. They believe that supporting her means controlling her without limits. They equate being with her with selfishness. But emotional leadership requires her to remain calm while she resolves her own problems, doesn't it? So I believe a balanced man will listen without interrupting. He doesn't try to salvage the office's image. Instead, he remains calm without taking responsibility for fixing it. Women feel more secure and attracted to a man who is emotionally balanced and not stressed. When a woman realizes her anxiety is overwhelming her, she will begin to lose respect for you. This is why some men notice a strange change. The more you engage with them emotionally, the less interested they become. It's not accessibility that diminishes attraction, nor is it over-accessibility. So if you must pass this test, you need to know when to listen and when to step back and to let things unfold naturally rather than trying to absorb everything. Sometimes the best response isn't to fix things, adapt, or forgive. It's simply to stand your ground and let things take their course. This test often arises when a woman is deciding whether she's a stable partner or someone who can finally control her emotions. So how you handle the situation will determine whether you enter the relationship smoothly or gradually let it fizz out. The fifth test is the respect test. When a woman begins to lose interest, the disrespect isn't obvious or aggressive. In fact, it manifests in small, easily overlooked moments, such as interrupting her while she's speaking, canceling plans at the last minute without asking, making jokes behind her back, or observing your reactions. Individually, none of these things seem like a big deal. That's why the test is so effective. The respect test isn't about the behavior itself, but about how you notice it and how you react to it. As you can see, men fail this test by doing one of two things. Either they dismiss it with a laugh to relieve the tension, or they over-explain why it bothers them. Both responses convey the same message. I'll overlook a little disrespect to avoid embarrassment. As you can see, attraction doesn't disappear because of a disagreement. It disappears when a woman realizes she's not respecting herself. Do you understand? There's a crucial difference. Self-defense doesn't require anger, lectures, or emotional outbursts. It requires understanding and a calm correction. A balanced man neither ignores disrespect nor escalates it. Instead, he responds calmly, clearly, and without emotion. This response demonstrates strength without any undue weight. When a man repeatedly rejects minor insults, something changes within him. He may not consciously think, "I respect him less," but he listens to me. Once that respect fades, a feeling of isolation sets in. This is why some men are bewildered when relationships change for no apparent reason. You know, they haven't experienced disrespect all at once, but rather in small, subtle ways. Dealing with disrespect is a test of self-esteem. If you recognize it and remain calm, the behavior often stops. If you ignore it, it will often worsen. Passing this test means recognizing patterns and responding when your confidence is tested. I'm going to close now. Here's a fact most men overlook. Women don't lose interest suddenly, they lose it gradually. And these tests are our way of determining whether we'll become emotionally attached to you or quietly withdraw. If you want to understand what to do when you start to leave, I recommend watching the following video on the screen. It's directly related to what we've covered here and could save you months of confusion. So enjoy watching. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Goodbye.